Well, hello everyone. Number 3 for the week. I don't think this is a record, but nonetheless, it's good to hang out with you all again. And I've got a bit of a clear afternoon, and so I was taking the opportunity to write a script for one of my videos that will come out later towards the end of the year. Not that we're not already at the end of the year. Where has this year gone? It's been, well, as you know, for us, for the last couple of months, it's been quite crazy. But nonetheless, the year just seems to be slipping away. Here in Brisbane, Australia, it is, the weather does not know what it's doing. It's raining outside, lightly spitting, light showers, and it's a little cool. Whereas only a couple of days ago it was hot. Tell me what the weather is like in your part of the world. We would love to know, and tell us where you're from. And of course, as always in the chat, be kind to one another. We are an encouraging community here at Voice Essentials. We want to encourage each other onto better singing, better voice, and we do that by being wonderful human beings to each other. So make sure you adhere to those sorts of little, ethical rules, moral rules around our chat today. So what I wanted to do, and as we go, my telco has just messaged me. As we get into today, what I thought I was doing, I was about to start writing a new script for a video that's coming up, and I see that I've got, let me just jump over here and I'll show you who we've got in the live chat already. We've already got Karen there. So Karen, you're not allowed to steal what I'm about to do. Not that you would, for your channel. And I will be keen to hear yours as well as everyone else's ideas. I'm wanting to do a video about being kind to ourselves as singers. And I started to write down some ideas, and I thought to myself, do you know who I should ask? I should ask you, my community. What do you do to look after yourself as a singer? In what way are you kind to yourself? What have you learnt to do that supports your journey as a singer? And so I thought it would be fun to write down some of your ideas, and in a moment I'll bring up a screen that will show you some of the things I've already jotted down. But I thought it would be really cool if in the live chat section you could give me some of the ideas that you have come up with and have thought of, and maybe that will make its way into this video that I'm wanting to go about scripting. And I can see, where is it here? We've got Ho Mama has just written, I'm pretty tough on myself vocally, but I'm trying to find ways to stay positive. And that is the reason for this video. I thought to myself, I have so many students that come in, not only here privately, but here onto the channel, who are just, you're being all too hard on yourselves. And there's not a lot of internally driven grace towards yourselves. And do you know what? That actually doesn't really benefit you in your development, especially in those early stages. And so, Ho Mama, you are the very reason that I am doing this video. I want to encourage you. And I think this is going to be fun for us as a group to encourage each other. So let me take us over. Let me see if I can just prepare the right screen here. I'm going to take us to there, and I'm going to, let's see if I can get my act together here. Let me go. I wonder if that's going to do. I think I'm going to get rid of that. Just bear with me, everyone, while I just prepare the right screen. So this is what I've got so far. So I've got call yourself a singer. Own the fact that you're a singer. I've got don't expect perfection, replace judgment with critical thinking, ask for help. We don't ask for help enough these days. We're too individualized and it makes us scared to reach out. Acknowledge and own your own success. Pay it forward. Acknowledge the success of others. and invest in your voice. Unfortunately, you know, we are in a self-help age, you know, and YouTube has contributed to that to some degree, and it does cause, you know, cause us to not want to spend money and time, probably more importantly, on our voices, and so it's important that you invest into your voice. But look, I know that they are not the only things that we could possibly be looking at. Let me just increase this so I can read it a little bit better, and I think maybe if I can do that, I'm going to be able to read what we're talking about. Just bear with me. You can't see what I'm doing yet, but trust me when I say, boom, there we go. Okay, so what are your thoughts, everyone? My problem is, here's one from Karen. So, well, I'm just going to jump over here. So I'll jump down and write in some points here. So Karen is suggesting, I'll bring this up here. So what's Karen saying? I think it's really hard when listeners can be so critical of our voices. Yes, it can be very difficult, can't it? You know, don't quit your day job. Would you please stop singing? They don't care how far. Yeah, what do we do, Karen, to build, I guess, a sense of we want to be able to, we want to be able to hear helpful critique, don't we? We don't want to shut out critique altogether. Equally, we need to be able to learn to filter that which is helpful and that which is unhelpful. And sometimes, let's face it, sometimes that which is utterly cruel. How do we do that? What do you do, Karen? What do you teach your students? You know, I've got my ideas, but I'm really keen to hear you guys. What are you guys doing? Guys and gals, what are you doing to help in that space? They hear what they hear and judge. Yeah. So make sure you're typing in there. We might come back to Karen, because Karen's point's really good. I want to hear, I know what the problems are. I want to offer people solutions. What have you found is really helpful in combating that sense? How do we equip ourselves to really ensure that, you know, we're looking after ourselves and being able to keep the right voices in our earshot, and being able to block out the bad voices, those voices that are not helpful. Gavin's jumped in here. I'm quite inconsistent with practicing. Yeah, so, okay, so practice is obviously a thing. We've got here, Gavin wrote that, what are we writing here? So we need to be more consistent with vocal practice. I guess that in a sense falls into the aspect of, I guess, investing into your voice, Gavin, being prepared to really take that opportunity to practice, and that's a really good point. Does anyone else's voice get bad after being awake for 10 to 12 hours? Well, tone, that's probably because you're exhausted. So I think if I was to put here, tone recognized that, see, I'm not, where am I over here? I use the American spelling then. I've got my WordPress, my Word document is set to Australian English. Recognized that, let's see, that self-care, jot, for example, let's see, self-care, for example, good amounts of sleep Oh, we're going to go. You can't see that behind the thing. You'll have to trust me to say are important I've written. Okay, good. My OK Google just came on. Let me close that off. Good night's sleep. Yep, good. I encourage my students to own their goals. Yeah, okay, cool. Own my goals. Students to own their goals and to never feel the need to explain or defend themselves for being where they are in their technical development instead of where others expect them to be. This is great, Karen. So, own and ground, own development. Is that what you're saying, Karen? I don't want to. I am paraphrasing, but I don't want to make a mess of what you're trying to say. I think that's basically what you're trying to say. They need to own and ground their technical development. Yes. Correct me if I'm wrong, Karen. Don't hesitate to correct me if I'm wrong. Home Mama's down here saying, I take great care of my voice. My only problem is for some reason my singing is somewhat has a nasal sound that I dislike, but I'm not sure how to stop that. I play in a hard rock metal band. Nasality, Ho, and incidentally, we will do some Q&A a little bit later on today. We'll spend a little bit more time here writing down some ideas that'll hopefully make them their way into the video that I've been preparing. But write down your questions. If you've got questions that we can answer a little bit further down in the show, we certainly will. Just in regards to what Ho Mama's written there, nasality is typically more often than not formed by a lazy soft palate that just wants to sit low and direct a lot of our sound through the nasal cavity. Being able to develop a wider pharyngeal wall, a tongue that will sit forward with a soft palate that is able to be raised and creating good resonant space at the back of the throat so it can develop forward through the mouth. Therein lies the challenge that we all face when trying to reduce nasality. There is a video over on the channel which I encourage you to go and have a look at, and that will help you. So back to Karen. Karen said here, yes, I don't want them to internalize someone else's expectations of what their voice is. Yeah, okay, cool. I might write down here, don't internalize others' perceptions, perhaps. Others' perceptions of your voice. I hope that correctly spells out. We've got a new person jumping in, Nabua. Is there something I can do so I can hit high notes better whenever I sing low, mid notes? Maybe, Nabua, we can come back to that one and we might answer that a little bit later. Right now we're talking about, I've got a video that I'm about to script up, and it's about being kind to yourself. And I wanted to throw it out to you. What do you do that enables you to be kind to yourself, that helps you in your development over the long term, really? We're not just talking from day to day, although day-to-day things are helpful, as we've talked about there. Tone suggested that we recognize the self-care and good amounts of sleep. Well, day-to-day, that's going to be helpful. What are those things that we can encourage ourselves with that are going to be really helpful over the long term? Things that we can do to self-care. So if we go back up to this list that I've got way back up here. So this is my list at the top. Call yourself a singer. Don't expect perfection. Replace judgment with critical singing. Ask for help. Acknowledge and own your own success. Pay it forward. All of these things. What are some other things that we can be doing? Or is there another way that I can be saying what I've already written down? What about just having, what about just having a this is good enough attitude? Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I don't want to, let me just undo that. So tones written here again. when good is good enough. I think that falls into, I'll put an exclamation mark there, it's excellent. I think that falls into what we're talking about when it comes to perfection, you know, not aiming for perfection and understanding that perfection simply can't be our goal. Then we've got Karen's jumped in. Oh, Gavin's got one here. Stage fright is also a problem. Yes, it is, Gavin. And so what can we do to move through our stage fright? There is a video over on my channel about, you know, developing, there's some really good tools, in fact, on this particular video about managing nerves and stage fright. So you can go and have a look at that. What do you do, Gavin, to help with your stage fright? And maybe you can love that one. Jump in there. I encourage students to formally track their progress, journals and recordings. Oh, I like this, Karen. This is good. Track development. What did you say? Journals. E.G. Journals. What did you say? Journals and recordings. You can see my typing isn't the best, is it? Etc. Because otherwise they tend not to realize just how far. Absolutely, they don't realize how far they've come, and if you've got nothing to look back on, you can't see that. And certainly in my studio, Karen, what we do is I record each lesson for my students, and I do, once we've been doing the lessons for 10 or 12 sessions, I encourage them to go back and listen to the first session. I also get them to just randomly will pop quiz the first song we ever worked on, and I just get them to sing it. And I haven't asked them to practice it, you know, for sometimes for months. And I just get them to sing it, and whoa, you know, their face lights up because they've developed so much. So it is good to look back on those milestone moments, and that includes looking right back on those beginning moments. I love it. Gavin's pretending that people are not really there and singing to myself. Well, Gavin, I think that's a place to start with managing your performance anxiety. But at the end of the day, we don't want to pretend they're not there, because you're there as a singer. You're there to deliver a message, and we want you to be able to deliver the narrative to the audience, and we want them to be there so that delivery can take place. So something to be mindful of, Gavin, as you develop in your singing. Don't just completely dismiss the audience. Try to get to that point where you've desensitized. Again, I think that video about stage fright will be really helpful to you over on the channel. Jen's jumped in here. How to develop confidence in yourself and your voice. Sometimes it feels like I might sing bad because I'm not confident, but then I am a bit confident because I think I sing bad. But then I am a bit confident. Jen, I'm trying to, you're not confident because I think I sing bad. It becomes a vicious cycle, doesn't it? And it is about disrupting that vicious cycle, Jen, and getting in there and stopping that mental sort of spiral and that comes from development. You know, I often say to students, the number one thing that students develop with me, and I think with any good teacher, what they develop in your first 12 months of learning to sing, hopefully students develop a whole range of things, but the number one thing that I think beginner singers develop is confidence. You know, you're just becoming more adept at a new skill. And as you become more adept, as you start to become more able to process, it's not just open your mouth and hope for the best. You're actually doing this singing thing in a manner that is far more agile and able to be, you're being more intentional. Then that in turn builds confidence. And as your confidence grows, then confidence begets confidence begets confidence, and you start to develop in that. And so, Jen, I would say to you, you know, just continue to develop your skill and zone in there and surround yourself with voices that are going to encourage you. So I have my students periodically sing the same song in the same key, record it and listen back. Yeah, it absolutely is, Karen, which is great. Bree has just made a comment here. I think it helps to look at singing as not necessarily something that you do to be good at, but something that makes you happy. Yes. We're going to put Bree's name down here. Bree. We got everything's taking off on me. So what did you say, Bree? You want it to be... And now, guys, I've got to jump over here. Just give me a moment. Oh, I need to... Whoops. Where am I? Bree said... Now, what did Bree say? Bree's over here. I've got to go back and find what Bree said because it was really good. I think it helps to look at singing as not necessarily something that you do to be good at. I'm going to grab that and cut and paste it and bring it over. And let me go back here. I wonder if that'll let me. It will! Ta-da! So what I've got here, Bree, is I think it helps to look at singing as not necessarily something that you do to be good at, but something that you do because it's good for you and it makes you happy. Absolutely. We are in a culture, aren't we, where we only do things if we can excel at them. It's something that unfortunately I'm seeing in the younger generations, where we dare not try something, dare we not be exceptional at it, and we've just forgotten the pure joy of doing it. So, for example, I play, a sport called touch football every Tuesday night. We started back for the summer season on Tuesday, and it was so good to get back into it. I got sconed on the head by a ball, but anyway, which actually really hurt, and I've actually got I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, and look, I'm no pro league player, but I really enjoy it. It's fun, and I drop the ball and I do bad passes, but it's the same with our singing. Just because you hit bum notes and maybe you don't sound like your favourite singer, whether it be Adele or Ed Sheeran or I don't know, Guns N' Roses. It doesn't need to be exceptional. It can just bring you a great sense of joy. And so that is an excellent point, Bree. Let's see if we can get a couple more here, and then we're going to turn our attention to doing some answering questions. Telegram Sam, he's back. Good to see you, Sam. Good for you to join along. You finally made it here. You did indeed. It's good to have you have you join us. Sam, what we're talking about is I'm just preparing a video about being kind to ourselves as singers, and so I wanted to throw it out to you, the community. What do you do to be kind to yourself? What is it that you're doing on a day-to-day basis that assists you in your vocal development? And we've had a whole range of people. Karen and Bree and Tone and Gavin have all contributed, and everyone's made some really good points. So, mate, if you've got some points there, that would be great. I'm just going to bring up, whoops, where am I? I'm here. So Sam, make sure you jump in and make some comments, mate, because you've said some really good things to me over the last 12 months or so on the channel, so it'd be good to hear from you. I also, Nibiruwa says, I also think it's important not to expect yourself to completely sound exactly like a studio recording of a song. So this harkens back, I'm going to put that over there, Nibiruwa, let me just take that. So this, how do I spell your name, Nibiruwa? So this harkens back, doesn't it, to the idea of, not expecting perfection of yourself. And and not expecting your voice to sound like a recording. If you think about the Adeles and the Ed Sheerans and, again, any voice that you might really appreciate currently, the voices are being doctored to with millions of dollars of equipment in the best studios by the best producers, and I think we have to be easy on ourselves when we record into our smartphone and then expect some level of recording magic to take place, and it doesn't happen. It's really important that we contextualize. Now, I hear that's what you're saying, Nabru. You need to contextualize what it is that you're expecting when you record yourself and you hear yourself back. You cannot compare the two. I agree with Karen. That is a good one. Okay. And then Bree's got one more. Also get to know your voice and its limits. Yeah, and we do that by spending more time with our voice, yeah? And getting to know, where are my limits? Where are my limitations vocally? What are my limits, and where can I and knowing what the boundaries are. That's not to say you're not pushing those boundaries, but knowing where those boundaries are. I think that's been really good. Let me just jump over here. Jen's just saying here, I think you've already got it, but I like the idea of knowing perfection is untrainable, but not letting this stop you from improving and discouraging you from learning more. Absolutely. It's getting that right balance, yeah? It's getting that knowledge that we want to continue to improve, but it's got to be in balance with not expecting perfection. And it's a challenge to get that right. Karen, we're on a roll now. Karen's now talking about repertoire, getting the right repertoire. It's also about, in contemporary vocals, about getting the right key. Making sure that the right repertoire is in the right key, and that's certainly going to help you along. Awesome. Hey, thanks everyone. That's given me some really good stuff to sit down over the next couple of hours and start developing a script. And that script, I think, is going to come out beginning of December. It's going to be a little way off, but be sure to look out for it, because I'm going to make sure I mention you all, and make sure that the ones that I include get a good mention in there. It'll be good. Now let me jump over here. Where have I gone? I want to go there. That's where I want to go. So let's go to some questions a little back up. I want to get rid of that, and I want to do this. So can we just go back up, because there were some questions up a little bit earlier. I want to move on to some Q&A now, because we didn't. For those of you who watched the live hangout at the beginning of the week, that was a really unusual one, because the notification system within YouTube didn't send the notifications out for, like, I don't know, it must have been 2 or 3 hours after I'd gone live. And so only 2 people, in fact Gavin was one of them, who's hanging out right now with us. It was Gavin and a person by the name of Trace, from memory, and it was just the 3 of us. So we were just having a nice little chat between the 3 of us, and it was all actually more Ask Daniel questions about Daniel, and anyway, if you want to check it out, it was a bit of a weird hangout. We did do some Q&A, but anyway, I think now's the time to take advantage of the fact that we can do some Q&A, because it would appear on the surface of things that the notifications have gone out, and this is more usual. So let's see if we can find some straightforward questions now, and I think from memory there were some along here. I've just seen this one here from Tone: not to smoke cigarettes, do drugs, or drink alcohol. Yes, it's all about looking after yourself, Tone. being good to your body and making sure that it's going to go the distance of a lifetime of good singing, not just, you know, a couple of years. Karen is on fire. She's just going with the suggestions here, as we would expect, because she's got a great channel over at Singwire. So make sure you check it out if you haven't already. I think for me, this is down for Sam. I think for me, it's acknowledging that most of how we perceive vocal problems is mainly physiological, treating singing as a competition as opposed to enjoying the journey. Yeah, and there's some of the comments the points that were made a little bit earlier in the live hangout, Sam. So you're certainly resonating with the general feel of what we have kind of already discussed, which is terrific. Now, Linda's just jumped in, which I don't know whether you can see. You probably can't see it yet. Oh, there it comes. Oops, phone was charging up, just got here. Hello, Linda. It's good to have you hang out. We're starting to answer questions now, Linda, so you might want to jump back in the discussion for a little bit earlier on and start watching. Fear about having voice cracks and fails. Gavin, this is back up here, right up the top here. That is a real fear for people, and what most people do when they don't know what they're doing with their voice is the body's it's very tempting in those moments when you are approaching that sense of impending doom around a voice crack, is to push through that voice crack, is to feel like, well, if I just, you know, accelerate and raw into it, then the voice will, and in fact, that is the last thing you should do. You know, if you hit a speed bump, we have what's called speed bumps. I don't know what they would be called in other countries, but in Australia we have speed bumps. They're kind of, they're raised sections in the middle of the road. They're designed to slow traffic down. And if you hit that speed bump, you know, at pace, you know, and you try to accelerate over it, that is going to give you a really rough ride. It's going to really jolt you. Whereas if you approach it slowly, go over it, you can really kind of smooth out, the car can smooth out that transition. And that's what, when learning to work with transitions, that's a really good way to approach that point that the voice needs to transition into the upper register from the lower, or opposite, from upper down to lower. Approach it like a speed bump. And that can be approaching, and this is good to practice in exercises specifically, to approach it and to feel like you're sort of slowing down. Now, the tempo may not slow down, but your sense of energy output might slow down. You might be able to temper that a little and just help yourself to glide through there. Now, to start with, it may not, you know, completely clear the transition out, but it can help you to get into it. You've got to resist that temptation to want to push and punch through the transition, so be careful of that. They're called speed bumps in the US too, which is, there you go. I have heard them referred to something else. Maybe it's in the UK, speed mitigation humps or something, I don't know. Maybe I'm just making that up. Nabua here has written, do you have any advice for getting used to singing with music? I find when I sing alone, I have more control, but when I hear the music, I'm automatically more strained and sound so much worse. Hey, interesting point, Nabura. I do hope I'm saying your name correctly. Forgive me if I'm not. Do you have any advice for getting used to singing with music? Yes, I do. It can be really helpful if you're just starting out, and I never like a beginner singer to do this too much. So I do want to preface what I'm about to say to just caution us about how much you would do in this regard. It can be helpful to sing along with your favorite artist for 2 or 3 times, just to get a sense of the phrasing, where the notes will come in, and when the phrase might finish. I don't like singers to spend a lot of time there because I don't want you to become beholden to what the cover artist is doing, because I never want you to, unless you are doing a tribute band kind of deal and you are looking to emulate another singer, generally speaking, we're trying to create, develop your unique voice, your unique sound. And so I don't like you to do this for too long, but it can be helpful to just get you started. And then purchase yourself a good quality backing track, a backing track that is similar, as close to the original as possible, and just try and step over into singing along with that backing track, and that'll hopefully get you started. If you're struggling with that, it can be helpful to find a friend, and this can be fun as well, to find a friend who you can work alongside and who can bang out notes on a guitar or a piano, on a melodic instrument that allows you to sort of get the timing right. And it can be a hard thing to simply do by yourself when you're starting. And look, herein lies, one of the limitations of YouTube and of learning by yourself. At some point, everyone really does need to take the opportunity to invest, and it's one of the points that I'm going to make in that video later in the year, is to invest into your voice. Don't only, find yourself working alone. You cannot be an island as a learner. You must be connected to other learners and to other teachers, people who can guide you and direct you. And that's what, a private lesson is all about. And I would encourage you to seek out private tuition if you're able to. Kimberly, how can you sing low notes and high notes naturally without straining or pushing or reaching or forcing to hit them? Wow, this is a big question, Kimberly. Forcing to hit them, and how to breathe from diaphragm. Whoa, Kimberly, you just asked, how do you learn to sing? Really? Big question. Kimberly, too many things to answer there. Can I encourage you, go across to the channel, jump onto the playlist tab. Let's see if I can show you how we might be able to do that. Let me bring this up so I can show you, Kimberly, how you would do this if you were on my channel. Okay, so let me bring this across and let me go to here, and give me a second, everyone, so I can show Kimberly how you would do this. So here's my channel as we see it here. If you go to, and if you haven't subscribed, incidentally, make sure you subscribe. Where's the subscribe button go? Maybe I can't subscribe to my own channel. So if you go to playlists, just here, Kimberly, if you jump onto playlists, it'll bring you across to here, and you've got a whole range of playlists that I've put together for you. And particularly if you go to learn this very first one, in fact, I made this one today and updated it today. If you click on that playlist, there's a range of videos that are going to, and that's actually going to start playing, so we won't let it do that. It's going to take you to a playlist that you can go through that'll start to help you with all of those things you've just asked. And I think you would find that a helpful thing to do as you are developing in your vocals. Hopefully that helps. Gavin is saying here, and we might finish on this because we've been going for nearly 3/4 of an hour, so we don't want to hold you up for too much longer. My upper range is not really that bad, but middle range is terrible. Gavin, there is a video over on the channel again. Go looking for a video just basically titled, I think, mixed voice, which I always, every time I use the term, it doesn't sit comfortably for me, but it tends to be the vernacular that everyone's using. Go and have a look at that video, and it will talk about getting that sense of balance of voicing between your lower register and your upper register, and getting that coordination between the muscles and getting that sort of clutch point where it's just enough of everything, and so it's got that sort of mix. And there are exercises in that video that will help you with that. So everyone, I hope that has been an enjoyable hangout. It was something a little bit different, which I thought you would be really good. I'm just going to pull up here. Sam, who hasn't been joined us for ages, has got a question. And before we finish, I want to answer Sam's question. I got a question, Dan. Have you got any tips to prevent yourself from the temptation of driving the voice when performing, learning to trust that you don't have to push? Sam, my good man, that is what I refer to as an apex skill. It is a skill that every professional performer is constantly in search of. It's not that it's the holy grail. It can be achieved, but it can be elusive also, because there are so many factors that can lead to, to you finding yourself driving the voice harder. It can be bad fold back. It can be, it can be your voice can be in poor condition. It can be maybe you're not getting the vibe back from an audience, and so that can cause you to psychologically push. So it's a matter of learning to register those triggers and not be tempted to respond to them. And I'm not going to tell you that I've got this down pat as a performer, because I think every professional performer is constantly workshopping this space, and you're going to get it. The aim is to get it right more often than you get it wrong, and to make sure that ratio is in good check. But there are still times where I will step off stage and go, what did I do tonight? What's happened? My voice is more tired than it should be, and when I reflect back on the performance, I'm often able to identify, I think that might have been it, and it can come down to simply I was dehydrated, and so my phonatory threshold pressure is higher because the shearing force between the vocal folds, as the vocal folds come together, has a higher load, all because the lubrication has not been as plentiful because I'm dehydrated. It's as simple as that. And so hence that's why hydration is so important. So Sam, I hope that's helpful to you, and encouraging you. Yes, you can workshop that space, but it's just a matter of getting the balances right. Yeah. So I think we're going to call up there. I think Karen is making a final comment there. I have a light lyric instrument, and I've always thought that the audience would expect me to have a big and powerful voice. That's when I'm tempted to push. So again, that's a psychological thing. It's us anticipating, isn't it, what we think our audience is going to need from us, and then we try to service that, and really we're making a presumption that perhaps we shouldn't make, and I've certainly made the same mistake also, Karen. And we're all growing, we are all learning, and hopefully today's video is just another opportunity for you to learn, for you to develop in your singing and be encouraged. This has been I've enjoyed doing this. We might do this again in the future, and get you guys to input into the scripting of videos, and I hope you've enjoyed yourself. And of course, if this is the first time you've ever watched one of my videos, please take a moment to subscribe and hit the white bell icon so that you get notifications when the YouTube notification system works, which it didn't on earlier in the week, but nonetheless it did today. And you'll be certainly notified that way when I go live. And we do that at least once a week, generally Monday or Tuesday, but here we are on Thursday. And of course, then we have the pre-record videos that happen every week and go live, currently go live on a Wednesday morning, Australian Eastern Standard Time. But until I see you in the next Voice Essentials video, I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.